In this video, I'm going to break down the INTJ and INFP relationship. My name is Sam, and in this video I am going to discuss how these two personalities interact with each other. The INTJ personality is a very analytical thinker who likes things done their way or no way at all, while the INFP prefers a more creative approach. These two types of thinkers have some trouble understanding one another, because they are so different from each other. But it's important for them both to understand that these differences can make relationships more interesting if they work together as partners rather than adversaries. 1. INTJ and INFP relationship compatibility. The idea of compatibility is a prevalent one in the world of relationships, and it's easy to see why. After all, if you know that someone else has similar wants, needs, values, etc., then you can begin to understand why they might be attracted to each other. As type theory expands into the arena of romantic relationships, it becomes clear that for every 4 people exploring compatibility with an INFJ. While this is not meant to cast any judgment or consensus on who is better, it may seem strange at first glance how many people are exploring compatibility with the ENFP, when there is such a small pool of potential mates. But consider that both the INTJ and INFP share an interest in ideas and learning. The INTJ loves to analyze and deconstruct information, INTP equivalent, while the INFP loves to synthesize different pieces of data into new forms, ENFP equivalent. This results in an interesting dynamic between these two types where it can be difficult at times to understand whether they're having a conversation or just sharing ideas back and forth. How are you feeling? The intimacy this creates between them is immense, leading people who have witnessed this relationship firsthand to say things like, "It's almost as if they finish each other's sentences." Another key indicator of intimacy between these two types is the acceptance of silence. INTJs are known for their live and let live attitude, seeing things from an objective point of view. Meanwhile, INFPs are capable of extensive periods of thoughtful reflection without sharing their thoughts with others, a trait that can make them seem aloof at times. The INTJ is attracted to this type of personality because it reminds them of their own ability to spend extended amounts of time focused on a single idea or task. 2. Stress during conflict. When conflict arises between these two types, it tends to be shorter and more intense than most other combination styles, ISTJ, ESTP as this occurs because both types tend to be more emotionally reactive. They display their emotions more freely and react quickly, often without much prior thought. While the INTJ may burn a little hotter for a few seconds, as they watch their partner walk away from an argument or conversation. The INFP is likely to maintain this heightened emotional response throughout the entire duration of conflict, sometimes pushing things well past where either party intended it to go. The danger here lies in the fact that both parties are capable of holding grudges. INTJs have been known to carry negative emotions over for weeks, months, or even years at a time based on what others have said or done against them. If you're casually dating this person and someone else steps in to sweep them off their feet, you may find that your chances of reconciliation are slim. On the other hand, INFPs can be just as long-lasting and stubborn when it comes to conflict resolution. If an INFP feels that they've been wronged by someone, even if no actual words have been exchanged, they're capable of maintaining a passive-aggressive attitude toward that person for weeks or months at a time. Since these types tend to work so hard on resolving conflict within themselves, it's important for others who interact with them to understand where they're coming from. 3. Making decisions. The truth is, both types prefer to conserve whenever possible and spend those hours or days of extra energy on constructive activities, be it developing new ideas or working with a client. As the dominant thinking function for INTJs, they try to conserve their energy by making decisions that will lead to efficient outcomes when possible. The INFP, on the other hand, prefers to conserve their energy through the decision-making process itself. Estimate time and effort required before beginning a project. INTJ. Make a list of what needs to be done, and in what order so as not to waste time and resources further down the line. Allow myself several months, or even years, to mull over a decision. INFP. Allow creative ideas and possibilities to float freely in my mind as I meditate upon the problem. Both paths leave the starting line eventually, but these two types tend to go about it in very different ways. This can be frustrating for both parties, since the INTJ wants closure and the INFP is looking for a creative path that allows them time for introspection. 4. Dating fellow. The ultimate test of this relationship lies in whether or not they can set their differences aside long enough to show affection for each other. Both physical and emotional intimacy don't come easy to either of these personalities, unless they're willing to open up first. Since neither of these types are naturally inclined to abandon the self in this way, they'll need to find ways to compensate for their weaker functions while still allowing them to maintain a sense of independence. For INFPs, this means finding other types who are capable of initiating emotional intimacy without taking advantage of your sensitive nature, namely ESTPs and ESFPs. For INTJs, finding other types that are willing to follow an efficient decision-making process can allow you to take on more leadership roles within the relationship. ISTJs and ENTJs may also prove useful here, especially if you're looking for someone dedicated enough to provide backup when needed, which won't always be required. 5. Parenting style. Show warmth by way of thoughtfulness and actions, cooked meals, gifts, etc. INTJ. Show warmth through physical affection, holding hands, hugs. INFP. The INTJ tends to treat their children like the adults they are. These types expect their children to make reasonable decisions, especially when it comes to planning for the future. They may not always be willing to answer questions about things like, "Why do I have to go to bed now?" but raise them with clear expectations of behavior and consequences for failure. On the other hand, INFPs tend to look at their children as innocent souls that need guidance in order to survive in this world. They'll often take up a nurturing role with these types of children, with lots of hugs and kisses. At the same time, though, they can also become easily overwhelmed, and tend to avoid setting clear expectations for behavior. These two types approach education in different ways. INTJs prefer an academic environment with clearly outlined goals and success metrics, while INFPs may be inclined to homeschool their children. They're not big fans of standardized testing or other methods that pressure students into specific roles. Conclusion: INTJ versus INFP relationships require a lot of effort from both parties in order to work out, but if you can get past your differences and appreciate your similarities, it might just be worth the extra bit of effort required. As always, communication will determine how successful this relationship truly is. Use your knowledge about each other's thought processes and you'll be able to make this work. Just remember, both parties should strive for self-awareness and self-improvement rather than expecting the other person to make all of the changes. Thank you for watching this video. My hope is that this video has helped you to gain insight into your own relationships as well as those around you. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section below. And if this video was helpful, please click the like button, and subscribe so you can see my next post in your newsfeed or notification. Until our paths cross again, stay classy and remember, life is too short not to enjoy it.